sir. Just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world. Ready your men, Captain. We will only get one chance. And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help. Do not attack!
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Quality.
Yeah.
Then
1080p.
Quiet.
There we go. Did I play the first one? No. It's skipping. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
a mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren? Captain? It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back will be blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready! I'm ready!
He said, I'm ready, I'm ready. He trying to get locked in.
No, it's not.
Is this a Sork? You got an ad on the YouTube, so you going home? What up, Ning?
Run!
Oh my goodness. Captain?
Captain! Captain!
Why are you here? What is this?
Yo.
Stop! Humanity isn't ready.
On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
What is this?
Oh!
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
What the? Bro, they wildin'. Ew. It's time, baby, it's time. GGG. Let's get it. Yo, what up, Akeisha? Love it here. Aww.
Hi, I'm
Love
Jonathan
having you.
Rogers, game director on Path of Exile 2.
Johnny.
Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th.
Okay.
But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge.
Yeah.
In this live stream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Let's get it, man.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs.
Oh my goodness.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
I knew it. There can be no salvation without sacrifice. They wildin'. That monk is fire, dude. That's the Sork. That's the warrior. I can't wait to play this game.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
Yo, what up, Zerk? Heck yeah, me too. I'm grinding the crap out of this game like no tomorrow.
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
That's gonna be me with the
Now,
hands
as you
on my
just
back.
saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access.
Yes.
Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the Endgame. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable.
Okay.
For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Dang, but I got out. How I escape?
And
It's
this is where you
online?
find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the
Yes.
dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren plains
Oh no. No.
of the Vasteri Desert, and delve into the jungle ruins of Exile, an ancient Vaal city. There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps
Oh
and
no.
treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters,
Oops,
meet
sorry.
strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations.
Maybe I should put it in auto.
But first, you'll need to pick a class.
Yes. Begin
Now,
the
early
survey.
access
No.
will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum. Like
There we
all
go.
classes in PoE 2,
Come on.
you'll want to use a wide
This the monk. It's tripping though. It's tripping though. Oh no.
variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing
Technical difficulty. Oh, so it's not me. It's not my fault. I thought it was my fault, bro. Rip. Technical difficulties.
like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes. The
Alright,
monk
we're
also
back.
has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have.
So this
By
is still
endgame,
monk.
you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies
didn't
with
miss
huge combo attacks.
Too much.
Now, if you like a style of melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time. Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage. The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Yo, look at them enemies.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way.
Okay.
Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them.
Alright.
While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front.
Nice.
The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you
Alright.
can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire.
We got chips.
This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on.
Yeah, this open world
Time for
ARPG.
some ranged attacks. The ranger is
Ah.
primarily about the bow. But we
Ranger.
wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat. Bow skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers.
I love
or
the way
electrocute
lightning-
enemies to take them out of combat.
The way lightning looks.
Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around
Oh
between
my
enemies, or spraying
goodness,
out of
that's
tornadoes.
crazy.
You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters.
Nice.
You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt.
Is this for every character?
The mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo types, offering versatility, power, and mobility.
Bro, he is so cracked,
All classes
bro.
in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect.
Dude, I might have to touch the mercenary.
Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage. If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in.
Wow.
There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her, while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies. Occult skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell. For the Witch, though, we'll want to be using our spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time.
I love that. I don't think so,
Here,
Keisha.
I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap, but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends.
Nice.
And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path.
Oh, goodness.
The sorceress bends the elements to her will,
Bro,
using them
I
to
want to see
unleash devastation
Huntress.
on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar.
Can't wait to
The
see you
elemental
rage on this
skills have
one.
everything you might expect and more. Fireballs,
Dude.
icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited.
Wow.
There are 25 active elemental skills.
That's fire.
By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain
Sorc
down
look
elemental
cool,
storms
I'm not
on your
gonna lie.
foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come.
Are you
There's one more important
kidding
thing
me?
to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a poison ranger might want to try out using occult curses to increase her poison damage, or a monk might want to trigger elemental ice walls to use with his glacial cascade combo.
I'm kind of
The
peed,
possibilities
bro.
for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill.
Oh my goodness.
Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now, all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide.
Dude,
So,
what
speaking
am I?
of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path
What
of
am I
Exile
gonna
systems.
play?
The
What am I gonna
passive skill
play?
tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first,
100.
but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Thought it was gonna be free, but it's okay. It's fine. I get it.
Now,
if it was
the tree
free,
is
that'd
generally
probably be too
divided
cracked.
up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster, you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield 2-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them.
Whoa.
You can use a 2-hand mace with a shield, or even dual wield them.
Whoa. Dual wheel
How about Mind Over
schmackarooski.
Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but
Oh,
use 50%
wow.
of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization. Or you could switch between one-hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace.
He just
Or
like
perhaps
parried
you can have
him.
a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you
Dude,
want
I'm
to
not
stick
going
with just
necro.
one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like.
I won't
But
do it.
creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find.
True, true, true.
For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the Canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a third mod, and upgrade it to a rare.
Dude.
Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods.
Wow.
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs.
Dude.
Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and 2-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and 1-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful.
Nice.
Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often.
Oh, wow.
Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in
Nice.
exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
So you can't give other people money.
Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't: uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character.
What up, Prince?
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes.
Wow.
And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed.
Dang.
Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Wow. That's cool.
The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character.
Okay.
As a sorceress, you could become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements.
Wow.
Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
Them
With
elements look
Strike
cool,
twice, You
dude.
can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself.
What?
She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze.
What?
Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again.
Nah, that's crazy, actually. That's
On the
crazy.
Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
He just tanky, bro.
With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Wow.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
Wow.
The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease.
Dang.
With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage.
Well, it's safe to say I'm not going the warrior.
As
I
a
know
ranger,
that.
you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With Endless Munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit.
Oh.
With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy.
Wow.
Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage.
You throwing potions on the
Contagious
ground.
Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by.
It's like Baba Yaga from Smite.
Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage.
Oh.
As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage.
Oh.
Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery.
Dude, she like glass cannon.
Mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana. But in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk
need
who
a
is in tune
shotgun?
with the elements might become an invoker.
They have
With
one.
elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the blizzard or I am the thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I shall rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar.
What?
Each time you apply
Avatar.
a status ailment to an enemy, you gain unbound fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead.
It is
The
free,
Acolyte of
yes.
Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness,
This
a
is
resource
free.
that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
Yo, he going ham, actually.
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
Yo, he just beating
The Mercenary
up
has a job
everything.
to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter.
Mercenary?
Excessive rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful
Whoa.
bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency
Whoa.
will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access, but one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign.
What up, G-Man?
Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclass. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience.
Whoa.
To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
Whoa. Skill tree is as huge as a galaxy?
In
For
the Trial
real.
of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to
Look like
overcome.
a constellation.
In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed.
Wow.
While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The
Spiders!
monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Sekimas.
I hate the long leg spiders, bro. They're the worst.
After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed.
Oh.
Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial.
Whoa.
For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life.
Dang.
You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the djinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run.
Nice.
One of the rewards you may find is sacred water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions.
That's lit.
At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations.
Oh, man.
In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
I love how they have straight
Having defeated
gameplay.
the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot.
Oh my
The
goodness.
keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimas, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos.
The second
in
one?
Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Whoa.
While exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos. Before the Vaal embraced the science of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets.
Yeah, I respect that they just got great straight gameplay.
As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment.
Not looking at nobody
In
talking
this case,
the whole
you must
time.
destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
Mercenaries, bad ASS.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk.
Yo.
Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming.
Nah, I ain't doing this one. Nah, no way. All these choices.
There are many types of chambers in the trial.
I
Each
suck
will
at
test
choosing.
your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimas, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take.
Oh my goodness.
We'll talk more about that when we get to Endgame.
Dude, yeah,
So how about
Endgame,
we talk
yeah.
about that now?
Oh.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently.
Wow.
The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player.
Okay.
This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the in-game challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus.
Yeah.
It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game
Hey,
Director
Mark.
on Path of Exile 2.
What's up?
Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct in-game content to choose between. Each in-game mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through. This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions.
Infinite?
Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources. In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities.
What up,
Depending
Makanya?
on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure, but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the contents. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Dude, I love the elemental look of all the sorceress abilities.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod. Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod. That lightning is so sexy.
Usually
This is
try
incredibly
Archer.
powerful since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects.
Try,
Combining
yeah.
these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed. Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop.
Wow.
Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will require you to take on larger challenges.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of
There are a
scared.
variety of factors you have to consider when crafting your waystones.
I'm kinda
Some
scared.
maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase
Wow.
the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations.
Oh, legit.
A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations.
Yo.
You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
Dude, there's so many skill trees, bro. So many
For
trees.
each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence.
Snap, that's
By
so cool,
engaging
actually.
with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them.
Dude, I'm gonna
These
be a
can
monk.
be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out.
Dude, he just beats
One of
ASS,
the
bro.
rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer.
Going to
Often,
need a
you will find
PhD to
multiple
play this
towers
game.
near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets.
For real. I need to go to
In your
PoE
fight to hold
college.
the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each endgame mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach, you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mobs. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach Rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing Breach monsters, you may find Breach Splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a Breach Stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your Breach Stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants. And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
So you gotta defeat the horde within a certain amount of time just to fight the boss. Yo, that's me, yo. I'm the boss. That's me with the hands on my back. You get those hands as a cosmetic for watching the stream as a Twitch drop. That's me. I'm the boss. This game is like it's gonna make somebody legally blind.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made.
Oh
All
my
these encounters have
goodness.
specific uniques that can only be found from them. But that's
Rest
not all.
assured?
We still have the progression system.
Rest assured?
Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in raid class.
Oh my
Ritual
goodness.
altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious
I
king in
don't
the
know
mists.
if I'm that
If you
hardcore, bro.
encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive.
Dude, it never
The tribute
ends.
you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to them. By the end of the area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for metacrafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover. Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the Ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you.
It makes sense, because it's the Endgame.
And you will find your nightmares coming to life.
So they want you to
When
have a
touch
lot to
mirror,
do.
The mists of delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome.
Oh my
Rare
god.
and
Yo,
unique
he is
enemies
sick.
will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you.
Wonder if you have
The
to do
mist
these
also
solo.
offers a strange crafting material.
I don't think so.
Distilled
Nah.
emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
This is just the end game, so
Distilled
I'm sure you could do it with
can also
people.
be used to instill your in-game maps,
Now the
applying Delirious
Ascendancy,
to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards,
the
allowing you
Ascendancy
to further juice your in-game
might have to
maps.
do
The tablets
solo.
you can find from Deliria can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics, essentially one giant dig site. Here you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to Endgame 2. Just like the other in-game systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore.
You think I'm gonna be the best person at this game?
Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Highly doubt, but I appreciate that, Keisha.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at Endgame. The Trial of the Sekimers is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself.
Dude, what?
In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run.
Whoa!
The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power
You
their
screwed
civilization.
up a few armors with
soul
that.
cores are powerful socketable items.
I was
with
just
mods
thinking about
that
that.
cannot be obtained from regular runes.
By the way, you flatter
Like
me,
all
Nate.
in-game content, there is
Appreciate
of
it.
course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the
Oh my
maze
goodness.
preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting this city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another
There's
tree.
always another
So these are your
tree.
challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge. Way
Yo.
bigger than even we expected when we started out.
I love this
But
company,
how
bro.
do you gain access? Well, during early access, you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480 US, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new Early Access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 Early Access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
Oh, nice.
But we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items.
Dude.
The cosmetics can be used right now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when Early Access starts. Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately.
True.
The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching back attachment which has an alternate variant depicting the influence of corruption. Also in this pack you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Veil of Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though.
I think I seen one of them bosses. I remember that crowbell thing.
On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Y-hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history,
The
you'll
hideout.
also get a series of hideout statues. This pack
Yes.
contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all
Kiwi.
packs in the series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble.
I need a kiwi. I need a
Become
kiwi.
the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want.
That's legit.
The accompanying back attachment equips you with two powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin, or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a King of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or use decorations from elsewhere in the game.
Wait, you can buy
you'll
this?
get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect,
That cart?
the King of the Faradin Kiwi pet, and last but not least, a statue depicting the Vile Oversoul from Path of Exile 1.
Wow.
For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well.
Whoa.
The Thaumaturge of the Vile supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment
Take
themed
my
around the
money
Vile
now.
and the pursuit of science and progress. You can find
Bro.
the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vile weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin, and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vile did. Thaumaturge of the Vile supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vile Kiwi pet, and the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of
A
Exile 2
t-shirt.
logo t-shirt. But if you
I
don't
need a
want
t-shirt.
one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the store.
I want a t-shirt.
Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment
What up,
adorned with
Raymond?
jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war. Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp? Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
Wow.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
Am I gonna be playing it a lot when it drops? Yeah.
A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi.
Heck yeah.
Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic, they make the perfect sidekick. Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of Exile's past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game.
A hoodie.
You'll want to look good in real life too.
Oh, this one expensive if you get a hoodie.
Of the Kurui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack. The Liberator of Rayclast armor set and back attachment come made with the finest materials in Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power. Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose.
It's like having
Decorate
like a
each
bunch
island
of.
as you see fit to best represent your well-earned hideout.
It's like having a bunch of cars
Everyone
and
in your
houses
hideout
and
could
stuff
use their own boat. Why
in
not have some
GTA.
races?
That's what this is like.
You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it.
Yo, what up, Linux? What
As
up,
you
BJ?
walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form. Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to endgame maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom.
Oh my
Look down on the
goodness.
plebeians running your maps. Being the Liberator, though, is not just about sitting on your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in command.
Bro.
Liberator of Rayclast supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield skin.
This game need a
Once
Bible.
again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history.
Tell me about
The
it.
battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable.
Wow.
With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing concept art and lore produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary. By becoming a Liberator of Rayclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the Reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the Reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the Reliquary to drop them, so choose
Oh
wisely.
wow.
Now almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use.
Okay.
If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened. Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around, because coming up next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
Dude.
And they let you upgrade whenever you
Dude. Dude. How many people in this joint right now? 163,000. And that's not including people who are watching other people watch. Like y'all.
To the post-show discussion and Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed what you've seen so far. It's been pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys have been inspired already just watching things, and you're already cooking a new Ascendancy class.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to do design whenever you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's been a few fun moments here already, but I'm your host Ziggy D, and I'm joined by
Johnny
Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen.
Johnny John
Honestly, it's so much.
I mean, we were really keen to make sure that when we went into early access that people didn't feel like it was just, limping along and kind of, just like a minimal amount of content. We really wanted to kind of blow people away. So hopefully
You
people feel
definitely
like, there
did.
was enough content. Because, it was certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
did.
did come here expecting that there would be, maybe a basic mapping placeholder endgame and your 3 acts and, the half the classes. But you've made a decision here clearly.
They not
that's got
playing.
the core PoE player community in mind.
This game
Absolutely.
gonna be
So,
an
we
easy
have to make
300
sure-
hours.
Like, look, Path of Exile's
Dude.
in-game is kind of known for the fact that you get to
Dude.
choose between different types of content and that, some people enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another. And I feel like that
No
choice
life
is, a
in.
huge part of what makes it good. So if we didn't have that when we entered in-game, then I don't think that would be...
What is
that wouldn't be a
grass?
Path of Exile in-game.
What is
So
grass?
that's kind of
100%.
what we
I
have
don't
to
know.
make sure of. So we kind of said, okay, well, what is the minimum number of different in-game things you need to be able to have in order to be able to actually have a viable in-game that we feel like you get different choices. And that's how we ended up with what we have here.
I definitely feel like a lot of games nowadays release, and their campaign's intact and real good. You get to the end game and it just falls real flat.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a very important moment for us when we were like, hold on, that's the wrong thing to do. Let's not make the same mistake as everyone else. Let's pivot. And we actually did that, and it made a world of difference and made the game all of a sudden, 100 times bigger with an infinite amount more content, right?
It was definitely hard though, because it's like we're progressing. It's like we would have made it. We would have gotten all these acts in if we hadn't have changed direction. It's like to actually say, we're going to specifically not finish this content that we'll be working on. It's like pins down everyone. We're stopping work on this. We're going to move over to endgame because it's actually more important. Like that was certainly a hard one.
That would have been some whiplash there, I imagine.
For sure. Well, I mean, it's like suddenly the whole, environment art team, it's like, they're all just like, whatever you're working on, just scrap. You don't want to scrap, but, just stop it. we're doing something else now. So,
Saving clothes, yeah.
Especially for a lot of the developers, because you got to also think, a lot of our developers have just been working on this campaign for, what is it now, 6 years?
I think it's even longer, actually.
Yeah, it's just this epic journey, whereas none of them,
Wow.
a lot of these people haven't been working on Path of Exile 1 this whole time, so some of us are like, we're just churning out in-game with every league and doing all of that, but for a lot of these people, a lot of these developers, it was quite jarring to swap over, but everyone embraced it. We talked about it, everyone was happy about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome, so...
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive here, and you were just info dumping all of the end game. You're like, oh, we got this feature, we got this feature. I'm like, I'm getting dopamine just from hearing about it. I haven't even seen anything yet.
Dude, I can't wait, bro.
But do you guys
I'm
feel
ready.
like you're
I'm ready.
competing
I'm ready.
against
I'm ready.
yourselves a
I'm
little
ready.
bit
I'm
here?
ready.
Because Path of Exile's kind of set the bar. The original game has set the bar for what is available to endgame in a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, if you're not competing with yourself, then I don't think you're going to make good progress, right? So that's what you really have to do.
Yeah, but cracking that out for beta even.
Yep,
is,
absolutely.
pretty
Well, as I
exciting.
said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that. And I think it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also served. Like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, if we launched and all the PoE 1 players are unhappy, that wouldn't be good. So, we have to make sure that they also feel like, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring to the
I
tournament.
respect it. They
And
care, bro.
you
They
definitely
care.
want all those different axes as well. Like just having 2, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously,
What
that's
up,
the
Gabriel?
nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have all of these different avenues because there are different players who like different types of content.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, here's your one end game system, well,
like that
immediately
one.
then there is a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us. And again, it's like, I'd say lessons learned, for the genre, and it is expanding in other games and stuff. But certainly, as you said, competing with ourselves, yes, PoE 1 has like, 40 axes, and we've got 7 really good ones here, and obviously more to come. But 7 is a lot, mind you.
Especially when it's all like, like people have to learn a lot of things again. It's going to be
Or
very
for the
interesting
first
to see how long
time.
it takes people to do the kind of difficulty 4 pinnacle content.
Yeah.
It's like we
Dude.
have to. It's honestly like we actually don't even really know because like you never know what people are going to find in terms of builds and so on. Like I'm hoping
Yeah.
it'll take people a while to be able to work it out.
Dude,
but,
there's some sweats
you
out
never
there,
know.
bro.
Maybe end of day 1, people just be like, oh yeah, easy, no problem, mate. Could be what it's like.
There are a few people that are doing that sort of thing. I saw like a solo self found level 100 in 24 hours or something.
Jeez. Okay, we got this. Is where we've got it now, is it?
So but I imagine there'll be a little bit of a soft reset there for people.
Yeah, for sure.
A
There's stuff to
relearning
learn.
period.
There's stuff to learn.
And I mean, PoE 2 has changed a lot over the years, so more than 5 years of development now. And what was that initial pitch when PoE 2 was first put forwards, like as to what it's going to be? Because it was much smaller in scope originally.
Yeah, so when we started, it wasn't even a sequel. It was just we're just updating the character rigs, and over time, it kind of feature creeped into a proper sequel. But the thing that we were saying is, whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main thing, is that we're like, okay, when we make an area here, it needs to be that there's like a theme for it. It feels unique from everything else. We're not going to just like have recycled stuff like within the campaign that just feels like, oh, we just took this area and modified it slightly. Each one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have monsters that were like carefully thought about that like, fit in with the world. And it's got to have bosses that are actually like good tier quality, and every area is going to have one. So those decisions have kind of been things that have meant that they really raised the quality bar to a level that took us way longer than we even really expected. Like those things there, just like it's huge, right? Like honestly, I feel like we underestimated significantly what it would take to deliver that level of quality.
I remember really early on, a battle I fought for, and I mean like way back, was like, if you think back to, say, Diablo 2, which obviously still holds a lot of, power in terms of design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company, you get things like the super uniques, and PoE 1 did them, and it's just like, here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE 2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just like dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And I remember, I even got some push.
Poor Caleb.
I remember getting some pushback at the time and thinking like, I love the bosses, my favorite part of everything, and so I was just like, man, I don't want this. This
What
is
up,
just
Zozo?
terrible. But of course, that decision, me pushing for that, me wanting that, turned into this megalithic.
What have you done?
Now we have
What's the
50,
6
aiming
classes?
to be 100. Honestly, probably later several
Mercenary,
more hundred, once all the
Ranger,
in-games, everything starts
Sorceress,
to evolve and more expansions
Witch,
comes out. And
Monk,
I'm like,
Warrior.
we maybe just made 100 times more work for ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile, because I'd say those bosses are one of the main attraction pieces of the game, and anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing. So like, obviously some are bad and some are good to different people and all that. That's how it all goes. That's part of all the fun. But it is true that me pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like, the scope is
Dude,
kind
I don't know
small
what I'm
on
running,
numerous
bro.
axes, and
'Cause
as
I
we just
gotta
raised
think
and raised the
about-
quality bar to what we thought was good. It certainly went from.
I got to think about
know,
the
what
ascendancies
was it
too,
initially,
right?
just reskin
What I
some
want to
character
be
classes and new rigs or whatever
in
into
game,
this,
not
like,
just
mega
early
scale
game.
entire campaign.
And I don't really like the
everything.
necromancer ascendancies that much. It's really hard to remember everything. It's a lot of information. I'm gonna have to watch this again.
It was originally codenamed Project
I didn't really like the necromancer ascendancy. I don't want to be a warrior.
I'm a fan of the code name.
I'm surprised druid isn't in here. They showed a lot of druid, but
There was all this like.
Sorcerer looks good.
And it was always like, we'll do it in Project
Sorceress,
Chimera. That was like amongst the
elemental,
developers, and people were
like
what the heck is that?
design
Now,
just
ironically,
looks so good.
there is a
Merc
boss,
is obviously
in
cracked,
Act
obviously.
3 called, it's got a different name, but it's called the Chimera.
And the monk
internally.
looks
It is
sick.
a Chimera. It's a multi-headed beast, and you've seen it in a few of the marketing.
I don't want to be ranger.
Things here and here, different
Don't wanna be
trailers, little
warrior.
snippets of it. And I think it's just ironic that was actually the first boss
I'm missing
asset
one.
made.
before everything, the first monster, because back in when we used to just make random
Oh,
monsters and we'll
and
find out how
the
to use
Necro,
them.
I'm
And
just
that
not
was
sure
made for
about.
that game. It was used in the original PoE2 trailer.
The fire
right?
Necro
It's
is
the
cool,
only
but
incomplete, technically, but only from a
I don't know
balance
if I
and
want to
the
go
last
into a
boss to
class
finish in
where
the
it
entire
steals
public
like
software
my
campaign
life
right
and
now.
stuff for
Sounds like
me.
it was like some sort of emotional demon
Like,
you had to battle.
this
there.
game
It
is
was
gonna
like
be
the
hard.
legacy of the original idea, and you had to finish
I don't
it.
know.
A moment with the,
I just don't
monster
know.
game designers where we're like,
Yeah,
"Oh
that
my God,
time
it's happening, the
sorceress.
Chimera
Oh my
is
goodness,
finally
that
being
time
finished."
sorceress,
Holy,
dude.
it was like, yeah, we were effectively like, we need to celebrate
Dude,
this boss finally being
is
done. It was
Ascendancy
like
above the
at
basic
origin,
level
and now
cap?
it's at this, point where we're about to deploy
I don't know
early
anything
access.
about a level
not to
cap,
say
but
the end, 'cause
Ascendancy
there
is basically
the end
like
is forever
you
away.
take your base character and you morph
still the
into
beginning of
a
a
certain
journey anyways.
version
But,
of your
on that note of
character.
celebrating, like,
So
adding
let's say,
Exile,
for
having
instance,
now kind of, for the first time, I
you
feel
are a
really,
regular
like, laid
person
bare
and then you
everything,
morph into a
putting
pirate,
it out
or you
there
morph
and,
into a bank
and
robber,
leading to
or
it's
you
great
morph
from
into
everyone playing it.
Well, it's scary.
a fish. I don't know.
Release, and I think especially for there's like a bunch of people on the PoE2 team who have who are, like they have this is their first game that they're going to be.
If you
releasing.
set it up right, you can
And their
turn negative into a
experience is something
positive.
that,
I'm just afraid, bro. I'm just afraid.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's tough, and honestly, I think that
I don't know if I
even
can
we
take
were feeling a
big
little bit cocky,
sacrifices
actually,
and
about the
risks
fact
like
because,
that. I've never
we
played
release,
PoE, and
content
I've
for PoE1 all the time,
Diablo.
and I feel like we kind of felt like we knew.
I don't think Diablo
what it took to
touches
get a
this
game
game
released, but
at
honestly,
all.
like, PoE2
And
was a
even
whole
in
entirely
Diablo, I didn't
different
even
thing,
reach nothing
as far as
close to
getting things out, right?
endgame.
Like, it's
So
just way more difficult.
I'm
Like,
really
you
just
actually have to make
afraid.
everything, like the whole
I'm
flipping
a
thing, right
punk.
from the ground up again. It's like, wow,
I'm a
there's
wuss.
way more stuff there, and like there's even things like the passive tree where it's like I feel like we underestimated what it would take to get something like that to an actual releasable state. Like that was a huge amount of work, just like absolutely colossal to get it to get that kind of stuff in shape. Like it's just been crazy.
I am scared, Ning.
So yeah,
I have a
like,
squad. I
obviously
know.
it's
I
nerve-wracking,
know.
coming up to coming
But
up
that
to
Ascendancy is
a
so
release
low,
date.
so I gotta
But,
be able to hold
I
up
think
my
we do
own.
have something that players are gonna really
I gotta
enjoy,
be able to
and,
hold
it's
my
always comforting
own.
when, I mean, we had a live event in LA recently. People, we got to the time limit and everyone's like, "Oh man, we don't want to stop." So like, I'm really
That
I
makes
think
sense,
people are gonna
Muffin
really
Man. It makes sense. I
It's
just
been a whole different experience. for me
after
here
seeing
playing this
PoE2,
time around as well,
I
whereas
just
before I was playing
see
a
Diablo
very
as so
buggy
less
kind
than.
of
I couldn't even
internal
have fun
version
in
of the
there no
game that was
more.
very experimental. Now playing almost what I'm going to be playing. In
Well, I
2
heard you
weeks,
still managed
And
to blow the count up
PoE1
the elevator with
it's kind of like
I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, we
but
have to get that one.
not as good as
I did
PoE2 if you
send
ask
the
me.
Act 1 boss up an elevator with knockback. It was good.
Intended mechanic.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He was in his like big wolf form and kind of trapped in there, so just barking at me through the.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm gonna pick. I was banking on Huntress being in the
I'm sure there's a few
Yeah.
things
early
to look out
access.
for this next 2 weeks. I hope the team can have a little bit of a rest for a day before.
But
they get back
Monk
into it,
looks
maybe.
sick. Sorceress looks sick. Them two.
It's been a lot. So
Them
them two
two.
to the endgame focus and got so much
Them
for us
two.
now to play around with in the beta, and it seems like originally
Mercenary is obviously cracked, but I don't think I'm gonna go mercenary.
Maybe
Not
go
my
back over
first
some
one.
Exile 1 stuff, but it seems like you guys want us playing through.
I think it's
Christmas.
between Sorceress and Monk. For me.
There's enough stuff there. I think it will take people a long time to get through.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, it's also going to be the first time people are playing.
Yo, Monk, shut up, boy. You was gonna do mercenary anyway, so you've been switching.
Game as well to explore. I mean, yeah, it should.
You've
be
been
pretty
switching
significant.
anyway.
I mean, we've always wanted it to be that Path of Exile 2 leagues, are going to be, like how PoE1 leagues are, where you play them and you play them for a reasonable amount of time, and then sure you get done with them eventually, and then you've got the next content that comes out. So yeah, in order to be able to realize that, you have to have enough of a base.
All right,
make that
Neon.
happen.
I'll catch you later, man.
People are
Appreciate
definitely
you.
wondering, like, how
Thanks for
invested
stopping
we
in.
can get in the beta,
Hope to
so
see you
I
again.
definitely want to ask a few questions kind of
For
around
months?
that idea.
Bro.
So firstly, is there going to
Bro.
be wipes and resets?
There's only
and will there be
6.
something before launch as
Some of
So
us gonna
we are
double
gonna
up.
be having new leagues effectively.
My
throughout the beta
Huntress ain't
whenever
even
we
in
launch
there.
something significant, because we want to make sure that all of the effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league, and effectively
Look, see,
after
that
we
or
go full
mercenary.
release,
See,
that
look,
league
you
will
don't
stick
know.
around.
I
Now,
told
can't
you
promise
was
that
doing
everything about
mercenary in the
your character will
beginning.
function exactly
Surely
like how
not.
it did in that
You
beta.
have fried
Images of
shark
the glorious
nuggets.
kind of snapshot of all of the here's all the
Yeah,
From
progress
where?
stuff I
stuff.
had, yeah.
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access league, and then if you still want to play those characters, then you can go right ahead and do that. But the action is always going to be in whatever the most recent league is, and then of course after that point there'll be a standard that everything goes into, which all our economic sins will forevermore be archived in the in standard. So yeah, that's it's
What up, Scuba?
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the standard league.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Also,
that's the
that
idea.
people will be able to kind of get invested in their characters. Because,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool about the idea of making something that
Bro.
will be like that little historical piece.
Absolutely.
Little
GGG.
collectible.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some
GGG is finna
handful of
rob
legacy
me
things that
blind.
only exist in early access leagues. So you know, I guess we'll have to see what comes with unique balance.
You talked about like the you know, playing for a week or how long we experience.
You don't want to double up day
We
one.
sort of
I don't
remember,
either.
A lot of the,
I don't
a lot
either,
of the Period
but
One players were thinking very
I
differently
think
to
it's
people
gonna
who are
happen.
Obviously, going to experience this as a new game, but
Because
it is a new game, right? You don't have all
Greg
these
might choose
predefined,
monk,
hyper-refined builds to play to
and
immediately.
Ning
you know,
said he gonna
go
choose
through things. You don't have people
sorceress,
coming in with,
and
like,
those like the
fully
two I'm choosing
detailed 7
between.
million
So
line, but with build guides of exactly what to do with what items. The discovery is going to be there. The discovery takes time, and the discovery is like honestly ultra fun for me. I love it. Now those things will emerge after time. Of course they do. Completely fine. But you should remember, like, there's a lot of game to play here, to discover, to learn about the world, the new narratives, the new world building, the new unique items, the ascendancy classes, the massive passive tree, which is bigger than PoE 1's, the like, you know, end game systems, the bosses, it's not going to be this, like, you know, even, you know, I personally, when a PoE 1 league comes out, for example, I play for like a month, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit less. It ultimately also depends largely what's going on here and how much I need to invest here. So, you know, and there are other people who play for more like 3 and whatnot, but there's certainly going to be a much longer time period you can play this for while still discovering new stuff and not feel like you're finished, you know what I mean? Now, of course, you see that's subjective. Everyone can pick their own point when they finish, but if you want to see everything and do everything, you're going to be investing a lot more time, especially these first-time rounds, and then obviously with every league, there's more to discover, but you get faster at doing all these parts over and over and over again. You'll get more efficient over time. That's how the game works. So
you think
yeah,
I go
I'd expect
necro?
a lot of time to be sunk into this to fully explore it to start with, like a lot.
I just want to pick something that really had that wow factor to me. That was like, whoa, that's cool. Like I want to choose something that's like, whoa, that was sick. Like I want to do that. And Necro didn't make me feel like that.
That's the beauty of a new game as well, which we haven't been able to experience with Path of Exile 1, you know, or other games, and for so long, is actually discovering the entire world. And yeah, there's some familiar mechanics at the end game and stuff like that, which is awesome for people. But yeah, I certainly want to really, I'm very excited to see people discovering the new things and getting so excited about it.
I can tell you're amped for watching people go through that discovery process. I'm maybe even diving in yourself
100%.
I mean, I love sitting there in Path of Building.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this
As
again.
many of us do, but I am very excited for that.
Well, yeah, as we
that
were
new
saying,
discovery process for a while.
I think you were saying how much you were part spreadsheet. I think I'm like, I think I was saying I'm like maybe 60% spreadsheet, 40% discovery, and that's my play archetype. You know, so
coming up with our player profiles, Timmy spikes, and things like that for both of Exile characters.
Yeah, that's true,
the
Greg.
discovery part of me is
We could
ultra
definitely have
excited,
different
and
ascendancies
mind
too.
you, that's coming from someone who kind of knows all the content. I'm still, because there's something different about making it versus actually playing it live with the players, seeing them discover it, uniques being linked in chat and on Reddit and all of that is just so cool. So we're gonna get a massive dose of that, and it is like genuinely exciting to just see how people are gonna think. You know, what's worth 1 chaos or what's worth 10 chaos, what's worth if chaos is even the metric.
Is chaos even the currency that people settle
We
already?
were arguing about this earlier.
I'm pretty sure that 1 C spam in chat might turn into 1 E, because like, you know, 1 exalt. Given that exalt is now,
I think it'll be chaos.
People probably
ad remove will still be.
People don't appreciate, by the way, like, so when we say we've increased, you're going to be getting multiple exalts in Act 1.
I'm about to take notes.
PoE 2. Like we actually have increased that a
For
lot.
real.
It isn't just like an idle, you know, like.
I can see exalts becoming the new kind of like chaos.
Yeah, I think actually that
chaos
will
being
be
the new divine.
I actually agree. But we'll see.
Because like, imagine Necro.
The market will have to.
But I like they were already arguing about this. It's good fun.
Imagine Necro. Where it takes life, like you have to give your life to do abilities and stuff, and then take that and put that in all of that in-game stuff that they was explaining that was like super difficult and hard and gets harder and has all these modifiers and all these, like, that is terrifying. And then for my first run too,
I think really want to start
I don't know.
Full release in 2025. I don't really want to be spending more than a year. That would be pretty crazy. But I mean, honestly, like we have to get all the content finished and all that sort of stuff. We always feel like we underestimate these things, and of course we have to learn what we need to learn. We have to get the game to the point when it is really fun. We have to make sure that like all of the things like we've got the difficulty right for all the players, we've got the economy right, like all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have to sort out. And so I kind of have a feeling that the first few weeks at least are going to just be scramble of like, oh crap, someone like worked this crazy thing out and we found this thing, and like that's always scary, because it's just when we add content to PoE1, it's like at least the kind of base of stuff that we have is kind of well tested and people know kind of what's going on with it. But here it's like just complete new world, and we're the kind of game that has a lot.
I can't wait to get that
players
hideout,
to
bro.
do stuff that we wouldn't anticipate.
It's gonna be like Sims. When you building, when you making your house for like hours.
Like so there's certainly a lot of worry that like there's just going to be
your character and stuff
that are like completely ridiculous that we just never anticipated, combining certain things in different ways we don't expect. With hundreds of support gems, it can be like that. So that's going to be an interesting one.
It will happen.
I don't know. I got to
It
look
is
at the
inevitable,
Ascendancies
right?
again.
Like,
I have
there's
to.
nothing we can even do about it because you need hundreds and
I gotta
thousands
go
of
back
hours
and
of
look at them
testing to be able to do
Ascendancies.
that with what can only be done with hundreds of thousands of players. But that's also the magic of it all, which is awesome.
That's why I was asking you, like, are you literally really doing 12 classes and 36 ascendancies, like, actually?
Yeah, that's absolutely, we have.
And then they only put in 2 ascendancies.
It's a bit unhinged.
There's really 3 per class. So imagine that third one that we don't even know about yet.
A studio that produces a passive skill tree like we do clearly has a bit of a glutton for punishment with regard to just like mixing.
You totally could have done 6 and then like I don't know, added more later in an expansion or something.
Just make 2 characters,
I
but I
look,
can't play on both of them at the
plan,
same time.
I mean, like as you go through,
One is going to have more time
put
put in.
Expansion content coming up pretty frequently. Just because we have all the stuff that we kind of
Especially if I'm playing with a group, I'm gonna make everybody.
There's stuff to come. I mean, look, I'm pretty sure. Like I really.
Everybody
have
to come back and play again from my other character. Nah, I don't think that's gonna work.
Get that out there as soon as we can. The Huntress we've talked a bunch about as well. There's like those kinds of things. I think we'll be able to move towards those pretty quick. But there's obviously more to do.
The other
that
thing
last one's gonna be busted. I know, right?
Like things is we've always been
first character,
it's hard
first
to predict
love.
because
Heck
a lot
yeah.
of what will happen is
I know,
what
right?
we leave space for is reacting to what the players want. And so if you plan everything for so long, you're going to have very, very, very slow reaction times to fixing, or adding certain content where there may, maybe the issue is like, the campaign needs more of this, or this class needs more of this, or something. So if you're
about
planning,
the
then you're going to be
servers.
delivering on what they want solved like a year down the line or even longer. And where we like to remain very, very dynamic and like, you want to be able to fix that stuff like, oh, well, this is the main problem. Like, sure, obviously you need more than a week sometimes, most of the time. But we want it generally to be that the next releases, expansions, updates, whatever, can alleviate as many of those problems as possible. So, yeah, you try not to get too strict with the planning has generally been our philosophy because especially when it comes to actually having the live service product out, because that is very, very important. Otherwise, you're never going to seem like you're doing what people
Them
want.
servers,
and what are
dude.
you doing if
Because
not
it's
that?
160K.
So that actually is a good point.
It went
Like, I was gonna
down. Some
ask,
people don't
what
want to hear
do
the Q&A.
you folks, what does the
But
team
it
want
went. It
out
was
of the beta? 'Cause
160K.
Obviously, it's like a good way to market the game
In the
but
stream.
It's also key
Like-
to shaping the game in the future. Like,
So-
an
And when I
actual
think of
beta,
a
it's
game
not
like
just
Destiny
I think
with the final
one of the
shape
most important
launch,
things, I think it's going to be really good for the development team. to
being
get
like
back
the
into a
servers being
live
chopped, this game has
mindset
got
and,
to
like,
be
get it back
chopped
into the
servers.
idea
It's
of, like,
got to
everything
be.
we make is shipping.
People are
so,
seeing
you know,
this.
like get back into this. People are seeing, like actually getting back into that, and like being able to
Not
sort of
like
see
worried,
directly,
like stressed out
okay, we
worried,
make
but
something,
just
it goes in the
thinking
game,
about
people like it, don't like it,
you
like
know,
that
it
kind of
being a
stuff, like, and
possibility.
That really that has been our studio.
You just
for,
put in to
like,
take
most of its
vacation the
lifetime.
week
Obviously,
after
before
launch.
we were it wasn't, but after that point, I mean, we are a company like.
Yo,
we are a company that likes to
we
think that we
locked
can
in,
do live
bro.
service better than anyone else. Like that is our goal.
How many
And
people can you
so,
play with on this
like,
game
getting back
again? Is
into
it
that
6?
Again, for everyone in the studio, so that everyone's working on things that are going to be releasing within, certainly in less time than 3 months away. Is going to think be really, really good for us again. I look forward to just being able to do that. Because these long term, like really long term things, like that span over years. It's like you go so long without proper feedback, like stuff kind of gets made, and then it's not really in a real game, and so it doesn't get
probably
tested
lose
properly.
perspective,
And you absolutely lose perspective on this stuff. So I think that that's just going to be a really great to get back to that again.
Yeah. honestly, as you said, it is early access. It is a beta period, and I'd say, personally speaking, the thing that, and we mentioned it briefly about the character balance and the builds that are broken and all that. That's obviously pretty useful to me, right?
Yep.
Plus, we have other systems in there, like, the checkpointing system, right? You have to kill the boss in one life.
You're already trying to find out where to send the money. You funny,
and
bro.
Other games have, and they work, and that's awesome.
Ning, you buying some cosmetics or you doing the base 30?
The Endgame system is a little bit less forgiving in that if you die, you fail the map, right? These things are things that we obviously need to test and iterate on in the future by adjusting the difficulty and stuff like that. And especially as you get towards this point of, the end game, like, okay, Act 1 has been tested like crazy.
Yep.
Right? And you get less and less testing as it goes on because you get less people, they've just been around for less time. And so, yeah, it's going to be a huge amount of iteration and feedback and from the players and us just, reevaluating all the stuff. And the thing is, we're always dynamic about that stuff. Like, we'll just change things if it's wrong.
I can't
we'll
have you
redesign
saying it
it.
out
We'll come up
loud,
with a
but
new
you'll...
way. Jonathan's a firm believer of if A doesn't work and B doesn't work, then we'll find C, we'll find option C, we'll find option D, and we'll keep changing things and we'll make it work.
Hilarious.
So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of that iteration on our design decisions, how forgiving, because, like, the game is pretty hard. It can be pretty hard. And so when you're on that fine line of, like, if things are difficult, it's not too easy to know if you've tilted one way or the other. So, finding what everyone agrees should be the common corrected difficulty is something that I will obviously be paying very, very, very close attention to.
It's a pretty hard thing to nail down when you are making the game. And so we've seen that a lot where you folks have been pretty willing to change and then rechange and rechange again some of the core features like flasks and the waypointing system and portals. And you're keeping that kind of mindset going into the beta then?
Of course. I mean, look, we're always willing to change stuff. Like that flask thing. Like
he
the
just
most recent change
memorized
to that
all
was,
the
like,
questions?
ultra
Like he just
recent.
throwing them off the dome?
Have we even had like a closed beta of that yet? Was it? No, I think we haven't. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's way better than it was. Like it's the things have improved a lot. And honestly, like that's one of those things we've been wanting to do, something to sort out flasks for ages.
Yep.
And it really came about because when actually looking at what new players were having trouble with when they were playing, Flask Piano was actually like, even from the very beginning of the game, actually ended up being one of those things that like people just had trouble, just like just the manual dexterity required to like hit all your different flask keys, and then you have to know when one of your flasks run out so you can move to the next one, and like various things like that. Like all that stuff actually was like just a weirdly large amount of mechanical complexity right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then even at Endgame, I don't think it was really that satisfying either, because you ended up with like, just like having to press all these buttons all the time, and obviously it's all utility flasks that people are using at Endgame. And then we kind of tried to band-aid this in PoE 1 with the some of the flask automation stuff that was added there, but there was still this idea that that you're still more powerful if you don't automate. So therefore, there's that trade-off there. So
you're just more powerful if you get mage blood. Really,
sure. I guess. Sure.
I mean, it's all automated, and you're very powerful.
Yeah, sure, all right. But so the point is, effectively, that the charm stuff that we're doing effectively means that you no longer, the game is making that decision of like, that stuff will be automated. You no longer have to do that like crazy flask piano to get the best, the best out of every character. And I think that is definitely a step in the right direction. And the other thing as well is it actually makes the crafting
a
more
new phone
for
for what?
Flasks, because when you've got like 5 slots, then like the individual mods and the individual stuff like seems to tend to not matter as much. I mean, obviously, people want instant recovery and things like that, but like but like now it's like it's much more meaningful. Like on your life flask, the choice between do I want instant or do I want way more life, like that kind of stuff actually can be a lot more meaningful once you've only got one. So yeah, I think it is a lot better.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for each flags.
We'll
that don't sound fun at all. I hate having to hit them numbers. I hate it.
Locked in effectively the fact that there's a mana flask there now, so there's always going to be a mana flask slot. And how does that tie into your design for mana? And are we always going to be using a mana flask slot, or if we solve another way, what does it do?
You can absolutely solve another way, and then you'll just have a flask slot that isn't doing anything for sure. But I think it kind of has to work that way because we really don't want because like once you sort of start to get into changing that around, I feel like the system sort of starts to break with regard to like the feeling of like I know where mana is, I know where my health is, like that kind of stuff. That being said, we've always got uniques and stuff like that. I believe there's already
there is a unique that allows you to equip 2 life flasks.
But the thing is, then that's a build choice that you're making, so it's a little bit different, and that's fine. But I think the system as it works now it's a lot easier.
So it does sound like on the mana side of things then that there are going to be multiple angles of solving mana, not
Of course.
necessarily
Yeah, so we've
spam.
got Leech edition number 475 of how it works, and we've finally got it right this time. You know, yeah, I think it works. So I think it's good. So I think that Leech will be more common.
I'm not going to have to like crack out the Leech diagram showing the different buckets and things like that.
I was saying, I think that Leech might be. No, I think. I was going to say Leech is one of the topics in the studio that has wasted the most designer time of anything in the industry. But I actually don't think it's that. I think the actual worst offender is what stats should Dex give you. I think that is like that one has wasted there's so many arguments about that.
I feel like that one's never come to the fore. Like we know about the Leech one,
but no one is happy about giving accuracy. But no one has a better idea than what accuracy that it can give. And like everyone's going to come up with like in chat a bit. I bet they'll be like saying, oh, you know, it can give this or this, whatever. But there's like yeah, seriously, there's been endless arguments about that topic. It's like it's outrageous.
Yeah. You've got me thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Babe, I need a
speed
kiwi,
would be
bro.
Good, but then that's probably too much.
Too much. Something like Dex, you just can't.
Dex stacking speed.
We can get all the designers down here right now.
Yeah, I know. We'll just have it out again. We'll just have it out again.
The longest Q&A of all time.
Yeah.
It's already going to be that.
Sometimes you're just like, you start the day and you're like, all right, here are the problems we need to solve. And then you're like,
what about?
But then accuracy on Dex comes up again.
No, it's 3 p.m. and we're still discussing dexterity.
Yeah.
So I go home. Just make it accuracy again.
Yeah, exactly. That is literally how it comes back to accuracy every time.
Okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
Rewinding a little bit, we can't forget our roots with Path of Exile 1, of course. So for the PoE 1 enjoyers, what is the plan for PoE 1 during the course of this beta? Is there going to be leagues launching? Is it on the back burner?
Yeah, there absolutely will be leagues launching. Now I don't know the exact date, but the plan is
PoE 1.
But I mean, look, it's
Yo, big brother coming.
I will admit that unfortunately we
I
did
need
have
a
to seal
kiwi.
a few PoE 1 resources just towards the end here, which is kind of been a bit unfortunate.
You must
I
have
really
missed
wish we didn't
it.
have to. But yeah, as I said, we kind of underestimated some of the stuff. But everyone is going to be going back to PoE 1 again for the February league. And you know, we're going to make sure that we can do that. Like one of the things that was a big problem for our studio when we had a long-term project and a short-term project is that you know, you've always had that thing of like you always want to work on the short-term thing.
Yeah.
So now that we've got 2 short-term things coming up, I actually think it's going to be a bit easier to prioritize in some respects because
funnily enough,
you know, it's just like all that stuff is then you know, is like coming up soon. So
nah, you didn't miss it, so then you know what I'm talking about.
We need to get that PoE 1 expansion out next.
20 minutes later.
To actually get that finished,
I kind of feel like I'm done with this Q&A,
that's
bro.
been a total struggle, and we didn't think
I
we would
wanted
have
to
have
finish
only
it all
6
the way
character
through,
classes
but I'm
initially,
kind of
at the start of early access, we were thinking we would have 8.
tired
But
of listening.
when it actually came down to actually getting to actually finish something,
on quite a bit, and then we have to recalibrate.
Yeah, it's definitely
and all,
long-winded.
like it was an extreme amount of work that we certainly
but it's a big
predicted
game, so I
poorly.
guess it makes sense.
But
As a sorceress, you could become a storm weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
So this like double down on all the elements, bro. Trigger elemental storm on critical hit with spells.
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock.
Targets can be affected by 2 of your shocks at the same time. 50% less shock duration. All damage from hits contributes to shock chance.
Built in any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all
That
her
is
cooldowns.
fire. Reset your life and mana back to what it was. Like, this one is so cracked. And I don't even think it's cracked because it's like, oh, that's so OP. I think it's cracked because it's just cool.
Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again.
Dude.
On the warrior, you
it's
can choose
crazy.
between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
That's like the rock solid from Black Myth Wukong, bro.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With Endless Munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy.
You have no accuracy penalty at distance. No accuracy penalty.
Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can
Flasks
choose
and
from one of
poison.
several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage.
Yeah.
As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percent
20% of damage from hits is taken from your Hellhound's life before you. I didn't even peep that the first time. That's actually cool. Immune to slows. It says double the number of poisons you can inflict on enemies. 35% less poison duration. And then there was another one too.
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows
This one, 30% less movement speed penalty when using skills while moving.
allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage.
So your mana is replaced by the maximum Infernal Flame. You gain Infernal Flame instead of spending mana for skill costs. Oh, so instead of losing mana when you pop a skill, you gain flame. Take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage when the Infernal Flame reaches maximum. So if you let the flame build up, it takes away your life. You lose health and energy shield, whatever that is. Lose all of your Infernal Flame on reaching the maximum Infernal Flame. Oh, so that's all on top of the health. Lose health, shield, and all your flame. 10% of your flame lost per second if none was gained in the past 2 seconds. Yeah, see, like Necromancer seems like it got definitely got a skill ceiling, higher skill ceiling than like the other ones. When you reach max, it goes away. Yep, you lose all of it when it hits max, and you take you inflict burn damage on yourself.
Damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up.
While not on low Infernal Flame, all damage from you and your minions contributes to ignite chance and magnitude. So this one is like you gotta keep it not super high or low, like in the middle, to get ignite chance and magnitude.
As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
Above 30%.
She can Aura of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
All damage from you and your minions will ignite? Because this one says it contributes to ignite chance, but he's saying all of them will ignite. So they want you close to high. Yup. Playing a dance between damage and keeping yourself alive. Yup. Yup. See, I just don't know if I got the cojones for that.
She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon
and this one you take even more damage.
Form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Sight, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson...
Gain energy shield from equipped body armor as extra maximum life. I don't even know what that means all the way. You thought of a unique like this yesterday talking to Enzo? It's heavy hitting if you know what you're doing. Squishy if you don't. Yeah, heck a squishy, bruh.
Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well.
10% of spell damage leached as life. Oh, that's cool. 10% of the damage you deal is like life steal.
Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike.
1% increased crit damage bonus per 20 life. %1 increased crit damage bonus per 20 life that you have. This one, the blood one, I mean the fire one is pretty good too.
To make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the element.
I mean, dude, Necro is just scary, bro. And I don't know. They both are good. Both blood and fire is good. I feel like fire is more cool. But I really would like to see what her abilities look like. Because that's the thing that I'm not impressed by, is what the abilities actually look like. Because it's so minion heavy. And it seemed like you're just kind of doing like passive skills that don't like really look that cool or feel that cool. So I don't know.
Might become an invoker. With elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does credible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an invoker. With elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of
elemental expression. Trigger elemental expression on melee crit.
Elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to
This was
meditate,
cool.
allowing you to double your energy shield.
Double your energy
Choose between
shield.
I am the...
So is the energy shield just like a shield, like on top of over your health bar, basically? More life, more crit damage, yeah. 2,000 life. I mean, you're gonna have to build heavy into life. But if you build heavy into life, then I don't know, bro.
Blizzard or...
Gain 10% of damage as extra cold damage on freezing enemies. Create chilled ground. Gain 10% of damage as extra cold damage, and when you freeze enemies, it creates chilled ground.
Mental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the blizzard or I am the thunder to specialize in cold or lightning.
Gain 10% of damage as extra lightning damage, 25% chance on shocking enemies to create shocked ground.
And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar.
That, I want to see what that looks like.
Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
Like an avatar?
Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb...
It removes all spirit. Your base maximum darkness is 100 for each life or energy shield lost to damage. Reserve 1 darkness instead if possible. Darkness reservation lasts for 10 seconds plus 5 to maximum darkness per level. What does that even mean? For every damage you take to your health or your shield, you stack darkness? I don't even know what that means. You want to be the avatar? Yo, what up, Magic?
And deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the dark...
Gain 1% of damage as extra chaos damage per 20 unreserved darkness. See, like, I'm confused already. And I ain't even playing the game. Gain 1% of damage as extra chaos damage per 20 unreserved darkness. Unreserved. Lost me.
Ready?
Yeah.
The more damage you take, the more reserved darkness you build up. You see the darkness meter?
For each life or energy shield lost, you get more darkness. Okay.
Yes. So that darkness meter grows. Every 20 that you gain, you get more chaos damage if you put that
1%
right.
per 20.
Right, per 20. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to
10% to maximum chaos resistance. Chaos resistance is doubled. So you get chaos resistance. So that means enemies must do chaos damage. Unless... Because can you get hit by your own abilities? No, right?
chaos damage, and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
Mana leech?
Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage, and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
You cannot recharge energy shield. Mana leech effects also recover energy shield. Mana leech. So you steal mana and it gives you back energy too.
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage.
So you like pick up little fireballs that give you health, mana, and damage.
The mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a witch hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to
Grants sorcery ward 50% less armor and evasion rating. 50% less armor and evasion rating? What does that mean?
defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks.
So you just
With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death.
10% chance for enemies you kill to explode, dealing 100% of their maximum life as physical damage. Chance is doubled against undead and demons.
The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses.
So it's just a chance?
With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky.
30%, up to 30%. I don't know what chance that is, but your first hit has a chance to chunk them.
This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do.
Enemies have maximum concentration equal to 40% of their maximum life. Break enemy concentration on hit equal to 100% of damage dealt. Enemies regain 10% of concentration every second if they haven't lost concentration in the past 5 seconds. Yeah, so far, Mercenary is definitely a little underwhelming. The higher the evasion rating, the higher chance that if you get hit, you don't take damage. Oh, okay.
You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh.
So this one is just more focused on skill gems. It's like a neutral ascendancy, so where you can, it's basically based on your build. It just buffs, like, I guess, skill, like gems, because you're a gemling. So this one, it gives you 3 extra skill slots.
Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems.
So 1% to maximum cold resistance per 3 blue support gems socketed anywhere. 1% to maximum fire resistance per 3 red support gems socketed anywhere. And 1% to maximum lightning resistance per 3 green support gems socketed anywhere. So it's basically some extra resistances for different statuses for however many gems you got. So the more gems, the better for this class, obviously. I'm not sure what I want, but I want also like guns. Yeah, I know, right?
Gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes.
Attribute requirements of gems can be satisfied by your highest attribute. Attribute requirements for gems can be set. So it doesn't matter what attribute it is, but if it's high enough, it can match with that gem. So you're just like a skill gem demon, just doing whatever you want. So just like kind of just freedom.
While Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem.
Plus 12% to quality of all skill gems.
Socketed into your character. So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the great trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign.
So if they say you need 40 strength, but you have 40 dexterity, you can still use it. Yeah, right. Yep.
Located in the Vasteri Plains.
I don't know, dude. I'm not really feeling the mercenary. I'm not feeling the warrior or the ranger.
The highest position in Mariketh culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength,
Necro Sork. The
and
monk
to enter, a
was kind of cool. It was like the chaos damage thing, and then like the avatar
Once you have earned your
thing.
Coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the
But
trial.
I'm not sold on the monk ascendancies as much. Like it seemed cool, but it doesn't seem like I'm mainly like the base monk more than the ascendancy monk. I feel like.
In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice.
So
in the
you
center
basically
of the
can't
room.
brick a beer with that
Once the
character.
chalice
I
is
know,
filled,
right?
You will be able to proceed.
You like the
While
Titan
fighting monsters in the trial,
for the
you
warrior?
will need to be very careful. Each hit will not
The
only
tanky
hurt you,
warrior?
but will damage you back often. Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into one of
that go
several
back too far.
throwable concoctions, allowing her to see the might become darkness. You ultimately the flame wit with zealous
No, he must have been like the first one.
become a
Or something.
chronomancer and answered call you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems or the Titan.
The Titan.
The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using answered call you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks. War ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
So when you bring up a totem, you get little ancestors that come and help you out, I guess, or something.
With Jade Heritage.
Yeah, and then it says you encase yourself in jade and you gain a stack of jade every second.
You can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks. Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
Not this one?
The Titan class is all about hitting big.
Oh.
With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an
20% chance for slam skills you use yourself to cause aftershocks.
Aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of
40% more damage against heavy stunned enemies.
Stunned enemies deal 40% more damage. As
That
a
man
ranger,
screaming.
you might
So just basically just DPS, stunning. You either go on Dark Monk or Gemling because never having a broken build and being able to use any gem is strong. But that was Mercenary. That was Mercenary with the Gemling. So you still got to decide between those two. I think I'm between Sork and Necro, cause Sork, what was it? Sork the time one is so cool. That time Sork is cool.
You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes.
Yeah. Yeah, Neck or Sork. 2 female characters, huh? Yep, guess so. I guess so, bro.
Charge. Then we could use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills.
Technical difficulties.
Full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the Earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
Oh,
There are
your
20 active
ancestor
skills for
going
maces, so
crazy
there's a
in the
lot more
back.
to try out.
I didn't
Ancestral
even
Warrior use
see
any
him
slam
at
skill in
first.
your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on. Time for some ranged attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels...
It's just like a Hulk. Warrior is the Hulk. Just smashing and punching and tanking and just beating up and taking beatings. Like that. Too. If you was a Gemlin mercenary, you could change from a damage dealer to support at any time. Yeah, don't they have support gems, right? Yeah. Because it's all about the gems, baby. And you get resistances. Yeah. Let me look at this necro, bro. I'm trying to, because, like...
totems, which allow you to use a totem. Now, rock on the ground, which explodes enemies.
I'm just
life
not
plus
sold
anything
on
you can
it,
use
you know?
ring charm. When it's fully used, all sniper rifles, assault rifles, you already have density rounds. Want to call? There are 22 active skills for crossbows. Do the work. Then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of
Because he just said that your minions do all the work, and I don't like that.
and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies. Occult skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety.
Because, like, I feel like my early game gonna be boring because I'm just sitting there. Hold on. Hold on. Because I'm just sitting there, like, letting my minions do everything, and I'm just spamming, like, little debuffs on enemies in the same skill over and over until I even get to the Ascendancy. Because I have to like I have to like my character, my base character, in order to get through the trials to get the Ascendancy.